You are listening to the Business for Good podcast, the show where you'll hear inspirational stories about companies making money by solving some of the world's most pressing problems. I'm your host, Paul Shapiro, and I'm glad you've joined us. Hello, friend, and welcome to episode 180 of the Business for Good podcast. If you ever check the ingredients on a baked good, you know just how ubiquitous eggs can be. They bind, they whiff, they emulsify, they hold moisture. They're simply the structural engineers of cookies, cakes, and muffins everywhere. But they're also volatile. Prices spike, supply chains break, and for anyone with an egg allergy or who's avoiding eggs for animal welfare or environmental reasons, eggs are not exactly a welcome ingredient to find on the ingredient deck. Enter Hadar Ekhoiz Razmovich, CEO and co-founder of MEALA Food Tech, an Israeli startup that's figured out how to make peas do what eggs and hydrocolloids do, and has consequently raised several $1 million in venture capital so far. MEALA's breakthrough lies in taking simple pea protein and using advanced biotechnology to unlock its hidden abilities, creating a single ingredient powder that they say can whip, bind, and gel just like an egg in baked goods and in animal-free meats. No multi-ingredient formulations, no methyl cellulose, no animal inputs, just plants doing some biochemical magic. In this episode, Hadar shares how her background in R&D led her to tackle one of food science's toughest challenges, replacing eggs and hydrocolloids without sacrificing texture, taste, or cost. We talk about how MEALA's technology works, what it takes to convince industrial bakeries to swap eggs for peas, and why she believes clean label ingredients like this are the future of food. Hadar is not just rethinking what we eat, she and her team are rebuilding the food system from scratch, one cookie, cake, and croissant at a time. Hadar, welcome to the Business for Good podcast.
Hey, Paul. Wow, I'm super excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
I am glad that you're here. I understand that you don't often do interviews. So this is a first time where we've actually been able to extract the wisdom that you're going to offer to the world here. So thanks so much for making the time. I'm happy to be chatting with you. Let me ask you straight off the bat. You started this company. Why? Why are you doing this? You know, you are somebody who it looks to, from your background, be into product development. What led you to think, I don't want to do product development. I want to actually start a company and be the CEO?
I think this is a great question. And the answer is basically rely in it, because having so much experience in developing products for the food industry, meeting so many projects, so many different companies trying to do real innovation, I understood that in order to make real innovation in a huge impact, in a big capacities, you can't do that with the same methods. So not all of the companies has the privilege to change production line and bring inside very, very unique technologies. We need to bring also new ingredients. So me and my partners, we felt like we need to create something new in order to bring new innovation to the food industry. We felt like there is a gap between the food that customer want to eat and the food that we are eating today. And there is a need for new ingredients that will bring clean label, high nutritional ingredients that can bring texture. Today in the food industry, most of the industry is relying for industrial products into solutions. It's super simple. There is hydrocolloids like methyl cellulose that help food manufacturers to create the texture of the food, the shelf life that we are getting. And the other solution is basically relying on ads that has a huge cost. In the last few years, we are seeing that due to the avian flu, the prices are ranking and the supply chain is not stable. And we need to find something else. And this is why it brought us to think, why not doing that with plant-based protein? Why not to create a new texture, a new era of texture proteins that can be relied on plant-based protein? And having that experience of R&D and knowing so many needs in the food industry, we knew exactly what kind of solution we need to develop.
Okay, so you mentioned two different things. You mentioned hydrocolloids, and as an example, you give methyl cellulose. For those who are not initiated, basically a lot of plant-based meat, I dare say even most plant-based meat, is held together by methyl cellulose, right? That's the binder that is keeping it. It's adding texture and it is keeping everything together and adhering, all the pieces to adhere together. And then you mentioned that oftentimes eggs are used for this too. And so, for example, in a corn, QUORN, most of their products have as a binder egg whites, right? Or in products like Beyond Meat or Impossible Foods, they're using methyl cellulose. And you argue there's a better way to do this. And the same is so for many, right? There are lots of companies that offer egg replacers right now, and they claim they are one-stop shop. So what are you doing, Hadar, that's different? Like, how are you actually making peas function, for example, like an egg white?
So what we are doing at MEALA that is super unique and doing completely different from the rest is that we are one ingredient solution. We are not bringing a combined ingredients that will bring you to the same texture of maple cellulose or eggs. We are just taking the pea protein and locking their potential for texture, not just the nutritional value. We looked on plant-based protein in a completely different way. When we began the company, we scanned variety of plant-based protein basically to create a platform because our vision was to be a company that bring texture solution for the food industry. So when we started and we looked for the pea protein, for example, that this is the first product that we just commercialized to the market, we looked what we have inside and how we can make everything that inside a protein to be functional, but at the end, it will be nutritional in the same way. So we are getting the great nutritional value of a pea protein alongside a great texture. When I'm saying a great texture, I'm referring to aldulation. Today, plant-based protein doesn't know how to do aldulation. They don't hold the water inside of the protein when you are eating that up, and all of the structure is destroyed. So any binding gelling that you may have in a cold temperature, you don't have in hot temperature. Alongside of that, you need methyl cellulose, and eggs are making also gelling capabilities, emulsification, things like that plant-based proteins properties are very, very poor. In order to give any kind of solution, you need to add binding system, I will call them. But at MEALA, you are not doing that. We are not selling a solution. We are bringing pea protein. Simple as that. Our vision is clear. We want to create lean and clean product. So this is what makes us different.
All right. So Hadar, your patents emphasize, or your pending patents, I should say, they emphasize what are referred to as enzyme-mediated cross-linking and physical treatment of plant proteins to deliver functionality. So for the uninitiated, we're talking here about gelation, emulsification, binding, and so on, right? So can you just clarify, does your production process use extrusion or high shear thermomechanical texturizing? Like, what is this part of your patent-protected method to take regular pea protein powder and turn it into something that acts like an egg? Like, what is it going into an extruder? Is it going into some other enzymatic treatment? What actually happens?
I love the question because this is something that we are getting a lot. I think we define a new category. We define a category that talk about new era of texturized protein. And until now, the only texturized protein that we knew were extruded protein. So no, we're not using extrusion. Extrusion is something that creates the flakes that we know for alternative meat and other product that we are eating from cereals and a lot of other food that we are eating. Our product is coming as a powder. So what we are doing, we are looking inside the protein, what we have inside of it. Protein are amazing. I think I can sit and talk on proteins all day because it's a whole world inside of the protein. We are looking, I think the food industry looked on plant-based protein until now just from the nutritional point of view, but it's a world of magic. And if you are looking inside of this plant-based protein, there is so many components that you can just do processes from physical processes to enzymatic process that unlock their potential. So even pea protein that doesn't know how to gel, that doesn't know almost to do nothing in terms of textural properties, suddenly can do all of those things just by unlocking those things from their protein. And again, our platform technology know how to do that, not just for pea protein, for a variety of proteins.
Is the ingredient that you're creating, Hadar, novel food? Like, obviously, pea protein is not a novel food, but you're subjecting it to what sounds like novel processes. Does that create a novel food for which you have to have regulatory approval? Or is it considered a food that is already generally recognized as safe?
It's generally recognized as safe. So we are not novel food, and we have an expert opinion, and we made a lot of tests from safety tests to nutritional evaluations. So we are not a novel food. We are using biotechnology, but those are things that are well known. We're just looking at things from a different perspective.
Okay. So let's talk about how you started the company then, because you were into product development. You were thinking that nobody is actually able to take on this major challenge that you are addressing here, which is creating a single ingredient replacement for eggs and baking. What was the motivating factor for you? Were you thinking, yeah, this is a big challenge and I like it because I like innovation and I like the challenge? Were you motivated by some other factor to replace eggs, like environmental or animal welfare concerns? Like, what was actually the reason that you wanted to take this dive and start beating your head against the wall as an entrepreneur?
A combination for sure. I think from animal welfare, sustainability, building a more healthy, better food system, all of those motivations brought me to the things that I'm doing today. I think it's a huge challenge and I love huge challenges. Looking at something that people did for dozens of years the same way and use the same ingredients and trying to rebuild a new food system is something that I'm excited about. I'm really feeling that we are living in an era that we are actually building a food system from scratch. We are thinking like what we want to eat, how we want to consume it, what is the impact that we want that the food that we are consuming will have from a sustainable point of view, from animal benefits. We're looking on everything. And I think this is a new way to look at food, and I'm super excited to be part of it. So I don't think there is just one box to tick. I think that when you are going to the entrepreneur world, you need to tick several boxes. And luckily, I have the most excited one.
And so what were the first steps that you took, right? Not everybody knows like how they would even start a company. I think that you started the company 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Almost 4, yeah.
Almost 4. Okay. So, startups have very high mortality. Many don't make it to their fifth anniversary. It sounds like that's likely for you. So congratulations. So tell me, what were the steps that you took though? You went through the kitchen in Israel. What is the kitchen for those who don't know? And how did you go about raising money? Because you've raised millions. So how did you do it?
First of all, you mentioned one of our best partners, and we have several amazing ones. So we couldn't do nothing without our amazing partners and the kitchen. And I will explain in a sec what is the kitchen, and people need to know and hear about them. But the first thing that we did, we are 3 co-founders, myself, Dr. Tali Feldman-Sivan, that is responsible for the business side and all of the strategy, and Iran Gruda, that is a chef, but is everything behind the product, the one that developed the first product and is an expert in innovation. So collaborating with amazing partners, having a strong partnership. If someone would need to ask me, I'm saying that this is the most important thing, to have amazing co-founders with you. The next thing is to have a great investors, to have amazing partners that will go with you on this journey. So we were super lucky to have the Kitchen Hub that were our first investors. For all of you that don't know the Kitchen Hub, it's one of the biggest incubators, and basically they have a lot to the reason why there is such an amazing food tech ecosystem in Israel. So they build an incubator that invests in early stage company, but also building early stage company. So in their portfolio, you can find a lot of the biggest innovation that came out of Israel. And then we collaborate with DSM Fairmanic Venture that invested in us also. So we were lucky to have such an amazing investors from the early days.
Yeah, you guys have a great roster. So DSM, which is one of the largest companies in the space, and the kitchen. And I understand Milk and Honey Ventures, or Benny Vinofek, is also on your cap table.
Benny.
And yeah, Benny has been a guest on this show before. We'll include a link to his episode on the businessforgoodpodcast.com website. But Hadar, let us talk about just now that you have the money, you have the team, you have this technology, you've got your pending patents. What does the biz dev look like? Let's say I am a commercial baker. I'm using a lot of eggs in my product. What's your pitch to me? Why should I take a risk and a chance on a small startup in saying, hey, I'm going to put your pea protein into my baked goods? What's it going to do for me? What's the pitch that you make to them?
It's super simple. Today, you're taking a risk by using eggs. You're taking a risk of allergen. You're taking a risk of price that is ranking up. One day you have a lower price, and the next day you have a very, very high price, and the prices are just going up and up and up, and the supply chain is unreliable. And from the other side, you have a pea protein that you are using in low inclusion rate that have high functionality, and we can bring it to you in a price that will make you a cost reduction. We can do egg reduction that is completely seamless, and we can do egg replacement. In both cases, you can save in cost more than 30%. This is just the product that are reduced. So think about what is happening when you are completely replacing eggs. And the most important thing that I think that is important for the food manufacturers, but above all for their consumers, you are not compromising on anything. You won't compromise not on the shelf life, not on the production process, and you are not going to compromise on the texture and the taste of the food that you are eating.
So the main argument, if I am the commercial baker, is this is going to reduce my costs. It's going to give me a more stable supply ingredient, and it's going to reduce allergens in the product, right? Because obviously the commercial baker is not thinking about animal welfare or sustainability. You're saying that you can bring this to them at a cheaper price. So how are you going to scale? Right. If you look at other companies in this space, many of them rely on very expensive processes. They have to, for example, have bioreactors or extrusion equipment, which we talked about earlier. Many of them have to pay a lot of money to get regulatory approval in their geographic jurisdiction. It sounds to me like your barrier to entry is lower. Is that accurate? Like, what do you actually need? If you're thinking, how are we going to scale? Like right now, you guys are at pilot scale. To get to full scale commercial production, what's needed? What type of equipment is needed? What are the barriers for you to actually being able to produce in industrial quantities for the largest baking companies?
First of all, I'm happy to say that we are already producing in tons on industrial scale.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
This is the amazing news. And you're totally right. We build the process. So there is a lot of deep tech and biotechnology that involve here. But at the end, when you are trying to scale up, you need to make it in a way that will be scalable. That means that you are not building a huge production line and you are not putting tons of money and equipment that at the end, you are just producing a very, very small amounts of quantities. Currently, we're working with CMOs. This is the way that we chose to be the right way for us to scale. We are working with them and we are already producing tons. This is the first thing that I think is super, super important. Until you have high quantities and you're becoming to the huge company that we will become, you need to work with CMOs. You need to make sure that you're making a great product and you are seeing what customers are acting to this product, and happy to say that they are acting amazingly. So next year, we are already aiming for hundreds of tons.
Great. Okay. So first, again, for the uninitiated, CMO is just contract manufacturing organization. So you're using a contract manufacturer to make your product as opposed to building your own factory to do it. You sound like, though, that you have a pretty novel process. Was it hard to find a CMO who was capable of producing the MEALA pea protein for you?
Again, coming back to a few questions later, what helped me to build the company to where we are today, we brought the best team. So the best team is the best R&D and science, but also the best team in terms of scaling up. And they took the process, the lab process, and really build it in a way that will be fitted for a full industrial scale. So any adjustment that needed to be done, yes, there was adjustment, but they know how to do that and how, I would say, to translate process and the technology to a full industrial scale.
Okay. The adjustments that had to be made, were they paid by the CMO as an incentive to get you to work with them, or did you all pay for those adjustments?
I think it's a combination, and this is another strong pillar that we have. We really if I'm looking on how MEALA built, so of course it's innovation and technology, deep tech R&D, but also it's rely a lot on the capability to find the right people in scale, but also the business relationship that we are creating. We are always putting a huge effort and a huge attention on the business. So there is different ways for these contracts and adaptations to be made, and we use them all.
Okay. So speaking of the business, Hadar, where are those tons going? You are producing tons of the MEALA pea protein. Are they primarily going to folks who are using it to replace a hydrocolloid like methyl cellulose in a plant-based meat? Or are they being used in baked goods to replace eggs? Where the tons that you're already producing at industrial scale, what happens to them?
Happy to say that demands for both market is huge. For egg replacement, we are seeing a really big demand for reducing the cost and having a more sustainable and reliable supply chain. But also in terms of the plant-based category, we are seeing that a lot of the customer, I don't think that there is a customer we approach to that didn't say, yes, I want to try the product immediately. Most of the producers currently are actively looking for methylcellulose replacement for cleaning up the labels and also making better texture for their food. So we are super active in both of that category and working on more.
Okay, good. Are they being just trialed right now? Those tons that you're producing, are they being trialed or are they in market? Is somebody somewhere eating your product out in the wild right now?
I believe that at the beginning of 2026, you will eat our product, and I will be happy to announce that. But yes, they are in trials, but in trials, it's not just a lab trial. And I'm saying that all the time, that it's not like having the technology that is working and showcasing that you can do that. It's not just good to have it nice product at the lab. You need to do that in a pilot scale. You need to test it in industrial equipment. So those stones are going for different trials already in a bigger level.
Okay. When you make that announcement in 2026 that you said that I will be able to eat it, is that an implication that it will be in products that are sold in the United States? They're going to be products sold in the Middle East or Europe? Where is your first market?
Our first market is Europe. We are active in Europe in different countries, but we are also starting our activity in the US.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to say that I tried some of the MEALA product here. What's it going to take for you all to succeed? My understanding is you've raised several $1 million so far. How much do you need in order for you, Hadar, to be able to get to a place where you are cash flow positive and you're actually running a profitable business, no longer reliant on venture capital? How much more do you need to raise, and do you think you can how quickly do you think you can get there?
Next year, we will launch our A round, and it will be approximately across like $12 million round. This is something that we think that will bring us to profitability. And the reason why is that we are developing constantly our technology. We're developing constantly our innovation. We are working all the time to see what are the next new things in the market. In the plant-based category, we are seeing a lot of veggie concepts that are developing. We are always seeking for the next new things. But alongside of that, we are looking for efficiency. We are looking for scaling up. We really look to build a company that can produce in high volumes. So both of those things, putting the attention on innovation, putting the attention of R&D, but also making sure that it will be profitable, makes us be a profitable company very, very soon. It's not that far from us.
Great. Well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. And when you are a profitable company, I look forward to having you back on and we can talk about how you accomplish something that so few companies in the alternative protein space have been able to do. I saw that Oatly just recently announced its first cash flow positive quarter since its 2021 IPO. And I don't know of many other plant-based or alternative protein companies that have reached a point of profitability yet. So hopefully MEALA will be among the first. That would be really stellar.
We will be, but I want to say that you will see more and more companies. I think we are the second generation that most of us working that way. I'm really seeing, like, as I said, we are in an era that everything is changing and you will see more and more exit and more success. I really believe in this category. I think I'm lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I certainly feel the same way on both in terms of belief in the category and in terms of feeling of personal luck to be privileged enough to do this. I'll say, when money was free flowing, let's say when you started the company, actually you were right at the tail end of when money was free flowing. It seems like if you started it nearly 4 years ago. But if you had started it 5 or 6 years ago, money was really free flowing in this space and nobody was thinking about profitability because everybody was able to raise venture capital. And I see that in the AI space right now. I was listening to an interview with Sam Altman from OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, and he noted that becoming profitable was not in his top 10 list of things that he wants to do right now or things that he thinks about. And I thought, well, that sounds like plant-based companies 5 years ago for sure. But I hope you're right. I hope that more and more companies become profitable, and it would certainly be a rising tide that lifted all waters to see that, because we haven't really seen any successful exits in the last 4 years in the alternative protein space, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll see that, and MEALA will be one of the big ones when DSM or somebody else acquires you and your investors make go out there.
First of all, I'm sure MEALA will be part of those companies, but I think that working with our customers, seeing how much they care about their customer experience, what they feel from a texture point of view, from the nutritional point of view. They care a lot about what their customer are feeling. So when you have this perspective, there is no other way you will succeed. So the customer will follow once they will see a great product and everyone will enjoy from that.
Nice. I like it. I like your confidence that it will succeed. It reminds me of the NASA slogan. So one of the listeners of this show, Brian Ottens, who works at NASA, he has a lanyard that says, failure is not an option. And I always have loved that NASA slogan. And I thought, well, most startups fail, but ones that I'm involved in, it's not an option. So let's hope that Brian's confidence is contagious here. Hadar, you have spent the last 4 or so years running your own startup. Surely you have seen many other companies come and go during that time. Are there any companies that you wish that somebody else would start? Have you looked around and said, I'm busy doing MEALA, but here's something else that the world really needs? Is there something that you think, Hadar, somebody listening to the show should consider starting themselves?
Wow, I have so many ideas. So if you're considering to open a startup, write me and we will sit for coffee. There is so many things to tackle in terms of the nutritional point of view. I think women nutrition is something that is becoming burning, and we need to take care of that. If I'm looking on candies and what kids are eating, there is so much space to do their innovation. And I can sit here and talk a lot, but whoever wants, write me on LinkedIn.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll include a link to your LinkedIn profile on the show notes for this episode at businessforgoodpodcast.com as well. Finally, Hadar, are the resources that have been helpful for you? This is your first time running your own startup. I'm sure that you have learned from many others. Is there anything you would recommend to somebody else who might start one of those companies in the category? If somebody's going to take your advice and say, okay, I'm going to do better candy or better something for kids, is there something that you think that they should check out that was useful for you?
First of all, read a lot. And read a lot about technologies. If you're interested in protein, for example, read a lot about other industries that protein can make and look like. Look for other solutions or other technologies from outside of the food ecosystem. I think that can bring the biggest and awesome ideas. This is the first thing. Second of all, create an ecosystem, your own ecosystem. I'm consulting a lot with other CEOs. There is so many people that already walked in my way before me. So having their knowledge, what to expect, what it would look like, what the do and the don'ts, it's super, super important. Listen to people that have the experience from your investors, from the kitchen that I listen to them a lot, DSM Firmenich, I didn't mention Lessenor, that are also amazing partners. Penny, learn and listen to them. And of course, podcasts. I think that I'm listening to podcast not just from my specific ecosystem, but also from outside. You just mentioned one of them. I think listening how other people in other category made it is crucial.
Well, Hadar, congratulations. I'm grateful for all that you are doing in order to help relieve some of the pressure that we're placing on chickens, especially to help get them out of our food supply chain. And I hope that you can help these bakeries use a lot fewer eggs. So congratulations on your success so far, and I will be rooting for your further success.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please let the world know. Leave the show a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast app and share the episode with your friends. Who knows? Maybe you'll inspire one of them to be in the business of doing good themselves.